So I showed you this table yesterday, where you can see the capacities for freeways and multi-lane highways depend upon their free flow speed. Okay, they depend upon their free flow speed. So whenever you start with the calculation of capacity or level of service using the procedure of highway capacity manual, you must know the free flow speed of multi-lane highways or freeways, whatever you are doing. Then this analysis, so free flow speed, I already explained to you in the spot speed chapter as well, and you have already collected the free flow speed samples for your term projects. That this is a speed when the flow is less than 1000 vehicles per hour per lane. Okay, so you can take the free flow speed of the highway segment when you have less than this flow. Now the procedures which you are going to follow depend upon speed flow curves. So I showed you in chapter 3 the speed flow curves, right? The curve between speed and flow rate. We are using the same curves, but only the curve up to capacity. Okay, so let me show you about this curve. Okay, so speed on the y-axis, flow rate on the x-axis. So I've already shown you the full curve in chapter 3. But since we are doing capacity analysis, so we are only interested in the values up to capacity. After capacity, what is happening, we are not interested. So you can see only half the curve here. The other half will go like this, right? Like a mirror image. It will go back to 0. Okay, but we are not using that. Okay, so you need this curve as well. Now these, when you are doing the procedure, you have to keep, there are certain conditions which we call as the base or the ideal conditions. The table which I showed you at the start was also showing the capacities under base or ideal conditions. Let me do something. I keep on forgetting it because I'm not used to it. Okay, so the capacities under the capacities are under base or ideal conditions. So when you are following the procedures of highway capacity manual, these base conditions must be kept in mind. If the base conditions are not fulfilled, then you need some adjustments. So you will get the values as per the procedures, and then you will apply the adjustments. What are the base conditions? I will show 2 of them here, and then I will show some more later on as well. So 2 base conditions, if you remember the capacities which I showed you in that table, are given in passenger cars per hour per lane. And this is one of the ideal or the base conditions, that no heavy vehicles. One of the ideal or the base condition is no heavy vehicles. Ideal or base means the same thing. Okay, ideal condition, base condition means the same thing. So one of the ideal or the base condition is that there are no heavy vehicles on the in the traffic stream. So values are in passenger cars per hour. The other base condition is that all drivers are regular or familiar users of the facility. All drivers who are driving on that facility are on that highway, facility means the highway, are regular and familiar users. Now we also call them commuters. Regular or familiar users are also known as commuters. Okay, people who drive on that highway on regular basis. So why are we having these 2 base conditions? Because they will give you the maximum capacity. They will give you the maximum capacity. So ideal is always the maximum, right? Ideal is always the maximum. So when you don't have any heavy vehicles, the capacity will be maximum. Why? Heavy vehicles take more space, they are slow, so they will reduce the capacity. Without them, the capacity will be maximum. Same thing with unfamiliar drivers as well, or new drivers. If you have a new driver, then you are unfamiliar with all the highways, right? But even experienced drivers can be driving on some highways for the first time, so they are unfamiliar for them. In any case, when you are driving on a highway which is new for you, you are more cautious, slower, taking more time to make your decisions and so on. So again, you will reduce the flow, you will reduce the speed and the flow. So having no such drivers will have maximum capacity. So no heavy vehicles and all commuter drivers will have the maximum capacity. Okay, now I've already given you a one-line description of each level of service. Now I will give you a a more detailed description of each level of service. So level of service A means free flow conditions. You have so much spacing, you and the other drivers, that you are not influenced by them. Okay, you are selecting the speed yourself as per the free flow design of the road. If you want to change your lane or do any other thing like this, you can do it very easily because there are many gaps available for you. If you have a short blockage in any of the lane, it may cause the level of service to change. So you may go from A to B or A to C or something like this, but it will not disrupt the flow completely. The flow will keep on moving. The flow will keep on moving. So for example, you have two lanes on the highway. So there is a blockage here because of an accident or some construction activity or something. So since we said lane changing is easy, so you can easily move to the other lane and continue. Okay, so in level of service A, these blockages, especially if they are for short duration, may cause the level of service to change, but no effect on the obviously, like no disruption in the flow. There is an effect on the flow, obviously, but no disruption in the flow. The spacing normally is 24 cars or 480 feet between the cars. Okay, so 24 car means 480 feet. Level of service B is still considered as free flow condition. Yesterday I called it the practical capacity for rural facilities. Okay, so still you have so much spacing between you and the other drivers that you can maintain the free flow speed, but the spacing is less than a level of service A. So although in your driving you don't have the effect of other drivers, but in your mind you start to feel their presence. They are closer to you, so you start to become more vigilant and more careful in your driving. Okay, maneuvering is easy, your speed is still high, but the gap has reduced, the spacing has reduced. So now you are more vigilant. Okay, so since there are still gaps available, so even if there is minor disruption in traffic, it will still keep on moving. Okay, so till the time gaps are available in abundance, you will not have disruption in flow, right? People, like I showed you in the previous slide, if you have a disruption, you can easily change your lane and keep on. The spacing in this case is around 15 cars or 293 feet. Level of service C is still free flow condition. I call it the practical capacity for urban highways, urban facilities. Okay. Now, in this case, you are moving at free flow speed if you do not require any maneuver. If you are going straight in your lane, okay, you don't need to change your lane or direction. You don't need to go to the other highway. Then you can still move at free flow speed. So driving straight is very easy and very fast. But if you want to change your lane, okay, do some other maneuver like this, then you are restricted because now the available gaps are less. Okay, so you may have to delay your maneuver, you may have to delay your action because of lack of gaps. So you may have to wait and keep on moving in your lane until a gap appears in the other lane. Okay, so now in this condition you require more vigilance, more care, because less gaps are available, the spacing is less. And in this condition, if you have a disruption which is significant, the disruption which continues for some time, it may cause a total breakdown. So a minor disruption may cause flow to stop for a few minutes or something, but a major disruption will cause a total breakdown. Okay, so you will see a very long queue because of a disruption. Although the level of service was C, but from C you went on to F because of a significant disruption. The spacing in this case is around 203 feet or 10 cars. Then we have level of service D. So up till C, you are maintaining, most of the drivers were going at free flow speed. Up till level of service C, most of the drivers were going at free flow speed. At level of service D, the speeds start to reduce. Okay, so we have gone beyond the point of practical capacity. If you remember, I told you this is the practical capacity was the value of flow after which the density increases rapidly, the spacing becomes less, and the speeds start to reduce significantly. Okay, so this is this phase, level of service D. Okay, so with increasing flow, the speed starts to reduce rapidly, and since speed is inversely proportional to density, so density starts to increase. Okay, speed starts to decrease, density starts to increase. Okay, in this case, you can have the difference between level of service D and breakdown is very small. So with a small increase in flow, you may go from level of service D to F. Okay, you may go from D to F. Okay, now in this case, since the density has increased a lot, you are following the other drivers, the spacing is less, so now the maneuvering is very difficult. The maneuvering from the lanes between the directions from one highway to the other is very difficult, and minor lane disruptions are also restricted. Minor lane disruptions, if you have let's say a driver stop for a few seconds on the lane, it will cause a lot of effect on the flow. It will cause the flow to stop. Okay, even with minor disruptions. Okay, so in level of service C, we said we require a major disruption to have breakdown, but in this case, even minor disruption can cause a breakdown. The spacing in this case goes around 151 feet or 7 car lengths. Then we have level of service E, and E, I told you, is the capacity. Okay, capacity condition of the highway. So capacity means now there are no gaps, like you are going head to head. You are moving, but there is no usable gap. There is no gap in which you can fit another car. Okay, or in which a car can move easily. Okay, so there are no usable gaps here. Any perturbation or disturbance, perturbation means disturbance, which is caused by lane changing or merging, will create a shock wave. A shock wave means flow starts to stop, and it goes from one part of the segment to beyond. Okay, let me show you in a video. Okay, some of you are saying I don't show videos, so let me show you with the video. So you can see this is a roadway segment, and there are people merging from here. Okay, so these people, when they merge, they are causing a shock wave. Let's see how. See here, the cars stop for a few seconds, and now this shock wave is traveling. Okay, it will reach up to this point as well. See, it has started from here, now it is here. See, this is called a shock wave. Cars stop for a few seconds, maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and then they start moving again. So this stopping and restarting is basically shock wave, and this shock wave is caused because of some lane changing happening. Okay, when somebody is doing where is it? When somebody is trying to merge from another road, or somebody is changing the lane, it causes a shock wave. Okay, it causes a shock wave. So when he is changing the lane, the other drivers have to stop. This is the main reason. Since there are no gaps, so until other drivers stop, you cannot complete your maneuver. You cannot change your lane, or you cannot change your direction. Okay, so to create this gap, we need a shock wave. To create this gap, we need a shock wave. Drivers must stop for 1 or 2 seconds to create that gap for you. Okay, so what do we do what do we do in that case? I think everybody knows. Then we do this, right? This is the highway, these are the lanes, and then we do this. We start moving like this, half in this lane, half in the other lane. So we are basically challenging the drivers. Stop or come and hit me, right? Stop or come and hit me. I will not stop. We'll go like this, diagonal. Okay, so the other drivers have to stop. Okay, so and we have to do it. Maneuvering is difficult. There are no gaps, so you try to create a gap by doing something like this. Okay, so the point here is, in level of service E, even minor lane changes have to wait, have to be delayed, and the drivers have to give you the way in order to make this change. Okay, so the spacing in this case is 117 feet or 6 car lengths. Okay, coming back to the speed flow curve. So we are going to use this curve for calculating this capacity and level of service. So in this curve, speed on the y-axis, fluid on the x-axis, fluid in passenger cars per hour per lane, speed in miles per hour. Okay, and this is the point of capacity. Last point of the curve is capacity. After capacity, the curve is discontinued. So we know the value at this point is known as capacity. We also know the value of speed at this point, which is free flow speed. Okay. Now, if you calculate the density at capacity point, okay, if you take the ratio of flow upon speed at capacity, when you have capacity, we called that density as critical density. In lecture 3, we called it critical density. Okay, so critical density is the density achieved when you reach the flow of capacity. Highway capacity manual fixes the value of density. They are saying density at capacity is equal to 45 passenger cars per mile per lane. Critical density at capacity according to highway capacity manual is 45 passenger cars per mile per lane. Okay, so this value is fixed. Now you can see they have made a dotted line and they are referring it to this density. How can we plot a line and then link it to the density? If you plot a line on this graph, okay, the slope of the line will be equal to speed upon flow rate. Any line plotted on this graph will have a slope equal to speed upon flow rate, and density is the inverse of this. Density is the inverse of this. Density is flow upon speed. Density is flow upon speed. So if you take the slope of this line and do the inverse, it will give you 45. It will give you 45. So this is how they are getting the value of density, or they are linking the density to this graph. Okay, this is the inverse of the slope of the line on this graph. Okay, so you plot a line from the origin to the capacity, so it will have a slope or inverse of slope equal to 45. Okay, so these are things we have some idea about them. Then you see another thing here which is known as breakpoint, BP or breakpoint. Okay, breakpoint is the value of flow up to which you maintain free flow speed on the highway. Breakpoint is the value of flow up to which the speed of the highway is equal to free flow speed. This is why you can see the curve is straight here. Up to the breakpoint, the curve is a straight line. Straight line meaning what? The speed is same, which is free flow speed. Okay. After breakpoint till capacity, the speed changes. Okay. So from 0, when the flow is 0 till breakpoint, the speed equals to free flow speed. So you can put a speed equals to free flow speed like this. After breakpoint till capacity, if you want to calculate the speed, you will use this equation. So this equation will be used if the flow is above breakpoint and till capacity. Okay. So what are the parameters in this equation? You can see in both the cases you have the speed, which is the average speed of the road. We need free flow speed adjusted. ADJ stands for adjusted. Okay, so you have the free flow speed on the road, or you have the free flow speed. You can calculate the free flow speed as well, and then you apply the adjustment factors. I will tell you the adjustment factors later on. Okay, so we need in both the equations, in both the cases, we need adjusted free flow speed. Okay, then you need adjusted capacity as well. C adjusted is adjusted capacity. So calculate the capacity and again apply the adjustment factors. DC is density at capacity. DC is density at capacity, which I told you is 45. So you can remove DC with 45, no problem. VP is the flow rate. BP is the breakpoint. I will tell you how to calculate breakpoint in the coming slide. And A is a constant. Okay, so I will show you the value of the constant for freeways and multi-lane highways in the next slide. Okay, so these are the things you need for calculating the speed of a freeway or a multi-lane highway. Okay, you need adjusted free flow speed, you need adjusted capacity, density fixed 45, you need flow rate, and you need breakpoint. Free flow speed can be measured like you did it for your project, or you can predict it using an equation. You already know how to measure it. The equation to predict it, I will show you maybe tomorrow, inshallah. Okay. Once you calculate the free flow speed, or you measure the free flow speed, you will calculate the adjusted free flow speed. Adjustment is only required for freeways. For multi-lane highways, no adjustment required. Okay, adjustment is only required for freeways, whether it is for free flow speed or capacity. Both adjustments for free flow speed and capacity are only required for freeways. Multi-lane highways don't require any adjustment factors. Okay, what are the adjustment factors for freeways? I will tell you in the coming slides. Okay, so we need to measure or predict free flow speed, and then you apply the adjustment factors. Then this is the equation for calculating capacity of freeways, and this is for multi-lane highways. Okay, so in both the equations you can see you need free flow speed. The maximum value of capacity is fixed for both highways. It is 2400 for freeways and 2300 for multi-lane highways. If you use the equation and the value is more than this maximum limit, you will cancel the value from the equation and take the maximum value. So for example, you are doing it for a freeway, the value is 2500. The equation gives you a value of 2500. Cancel that value, take 2400, because for freeway it is 2400. Okay, same thing for multi-lane highways. Okay, so you will use if the value from the equation is less than 2400, we will use the value from the equation. Okay, for multi-lane highways it should be less than 2300. Okay, and the speed ranges for each type of highway is given. Freeway 55 to 75, multi-lane highway 45 to 70. Now in your term project, just a point for your term project, you will either be having a freeway or a multi-lane highway, right? Freeway, the highway which doesn't have any intersections, it has ramps. So there are only very few freeways in Bahrain, right? Sheikh Isa bin Salman Highway, Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Highway, you can count them on your fingers. Okay, the remaining are multi-lane highways. The remaining have intersections, they will be treated as multi-lane highways. Okay. Then you come to capacity adjustment factor. After you calculate the capacity, multiply with the adjustment factor only if it is a freeway. Again, for multi-lane highway, the capacity will remain as it is. Okay, no adjustments. Breakpoint only required for freeways. Multi-lane highways, the breakpoint is 1400. For multi-lane highways, the breakpoint is 1400. For freeways, adjustment factor will be breakpoint will be calculated using this equation. So you need adjusted free flow speed here. You need adjusted free flow speed, and you need the capacity adjustment factor. You need the capacity adjustment factor. Then if you go back here, you need a value of A here as well. So this is the value for A. For freeway 2, for multi-lane highway 1.3. Okay. Now for limited number of free flow speeds, they have plotted the speed flow curves. Okay, so if you are doing the analysis for a highway which has exactly value equal to the free flow speed shown on the curve, exactly, okay. So for example, 70 is shown and 75 is shown, but your free flow speed is 73. Okay, don't round it off and take 70 or 73. No, then you have to do the analysis using the equations. Okay, then you cannot use this curve. Okay, so these are the curves for freeways and these are the curves for multi-lane highways. Again, for limited number of free flow speed values. Okay, if your free flow speed doesn't match these values, you do the analysis using the equations. And then from the x-axis, draw a line towards the free flow speed curve of your highway. So for example, you are doing it for a multi-lane highway. Your flow rate is 1200 and free flow speed is 55. Okay, multi-lane highway, so I will use these curves. Flow 1200, mark this point, then draw a line towards a free flow speed which is 55. So free flow speed of 55, the line intersect at this point. This is the curve of 55. So you can see this point is shown in the range of level of service C. This point is shown in the range of level of service C. Okay, so now you know the level of service. If you want to know the speed of this highway, the average speed of the highway, from this point find out the value of the y-axis. Okay, find out the value of the y-axis. Okay, So if your free flow speed matches exactly the free flow speed given in the graph for multi-lane highways or for freeways, you plot or find out the find out the flow rate on the x-axis, draw a line towards the curve of your free flow speed, the point where the line intersects the curve, that will give you the level of service, and if you take the value of that point from the y-axis, this will give you the average speed of the highway. Okay. Again, how the level of service is mentioned here using the densities. Level of service is related to density. If you know the density for freeways or multi-lane highways, you can find out the level of service. So I will show you in the coming slides the ranges of density for each level of service. And I already told you, if you know density, then you take the inverse, you have the slope of this graph. If you take the inverse of density, this will give you the slope of a line on this graph. So what they have done, they have taken those ranges. So for example, the range for A is from 0 to 11 passenger cars per mile per day. The range of density for level of service A is from 0 to 11. So you find out, you take the inverse of 11, this will give you the slope of this line, the line of level of service A. Okay, and then you plot a line from the origin with this slope. For B, the range is from 11 to 18. So you find out the inverse of 18 and plot a line having a slope of 18 on this curve and so on. Okay, inverse of 18. Okay, inverse of 18. So this is how you plot it. This is how they have plotted. If you want to plot it for your highway, you can do it in this manner. And these are the ranges. Okay, these are the ranges I was talking about. So they are given. Okay. Then from these curves, again, only for those curves for which they have already plotted, okay, the fixed free flow speed curves. For these curves, we have the service flow rates values as well. Before I explain how did I get these values, how did they get these values, what do we mean by service flow rates? Tell me. I just told you yesterday. What do we mean by service flow rates? What is service flow rate? Anyone? So I'm asking it because I explained to you yesterday, right? You have seen that all things which I've explained in the previous chapters, I told you again in this chapter. But at least you can tell me what did I explain yesterday. Huh? What are service flow rates? Flow rates what? Flow rates at what point? If you look at the table shown in the slide, you may just guess the answer as well. If you don't know it, you may just guess the answer. If you look at
maximum rate.
Maximum rate for
flow.
For flow, maximum rate of flow. What is this? Makes it maximum rate of flow at which what happens?
The capacity.
No, that is capacity, not service flow rate. Okay, maximum flow rate for each level of service, that is service flow rate. Maximum flow rate for each level of service. You see here, flow rates are mentioned for each level of service, right? So maximum flow rate at each level of service is known as its service flow rate. Okay, so how did I get these values? If we have plotted the curve, for example, this curve is plotted. Now I want the service flow rate for free flow speed of 60. Okay, for each level of service. So first of all, you draw the lines according to the density. Okay, the point where the line is intersecting the curve, you take the flow value and that is your service flow rate. So for example, this is the line for level of service A, right? For the density of level of service A. So the flow value at which the line intersects the free flow speed curve, that is the service flow rate for level of service A. Okay, so for example, it intersects here, find out this value, and this is the service flow rate for level of service A when your free flow speed is 60 miles per hour for a multi-lane highway. Okay, same thing for 55, for 50, for 45 as well, and same thing can be done for freeways as well. Okay, so this basically service flow rates are the intersection points of these diagonal lines which you have plotted for densities for each level of service and the free flow speed curves. Okay. So if you have a free flow speed which is equal to these values, then you can find out the service flow rates using this table. So for example, the flow rate on your highway is 1000 passenger cars per hour per lane. All these values are in passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay, keep it in mind. So if your flow rate, the actual flow rate on the highway is 1000 passenger cars per hour per lane, okay, and your free flow speed is 75, and it's a freeway. So you come to this table. This table is for freeway. This table is for multi and highway. Okay, so you come to this table. 75 is here. Okay, so if your flow is 1000, that means you have already crossed level of service, the maximum limit of level of service A. Okay, did you cross the maximum limit of level of service B? No. So my level of service is B. My level of service is B. It cannot be A because I have crossed the limit. Similarly, let's say your actual service flow, your actual flow rate is 2000. Your actual flow rate is 2000. So you have crossed the service flow rate of A and B and C as well. Did you cross D? No. So with 2000 flow rate and 75 miles per hour free flow speed on a freeway, the level of service will be D. Okay, so these tables are another way in which you can find out the level of service directly. Again, if you have free flow speed equal to the given value. Okay, now we have talked about the adjustment factors. Okay, there are, so we need to adjust the capacity and we need to adjust the speed for freeways. Okay, for multi and highways, no adjustment required, but the speed and capacity for freeways must be adjusted. There are 4 conditions for adjustment for capacity on freeways, and there are 3 conditions for adjustment of speed on freeways. 4 conditions for adjustment of capacity, 3 conditions for adjustment of speed. 4 conditions for adjustment of capacity are if you don't have good weather, if you have accidents or incidents on the road, if you have work zone on the road, or the motorists or drivers are not familiar or they are irregular users. Okay, so you will apply the adjustment factor of weather. If the weather is not good, you will apply the adjustment factor of incidents or accidents if there are incidents and accidents on the road. If you will apply the adjustment factor of work zone if there are work zones on the road. What do we mean by work zone? Work zone is construction or maintenance activity. Work zone means construction or maintenance activity on the road. Okay, so if there are work zone on the road, you will apply the adjustment factor of work zone on capacity. And if the drivers are unfamiliar, even if few of them are unfamiliar or irregular users, you will apply the adjustment factor of this condition. Okay, this is for capacity. For speed, same adjustment factors are applied except the adjustment factor of incidents and accidents. So for speed, we need adjustment factor of weather, work zone, and driver population. Okay, regular and familiar users. Okay, so for speed, 3 adjustment factors: weather, traffic incidents and accidents, and motorists who are regular and familiar users or irregular familiar users. Okay, sorry, weather, work zone, and motorists who are regular and familiar users. For speed, we need weather and work zone and motorists who are regular and familiar users. Okay, these 3 adjustment conditions for speed. Now, for example, if you have good weather, this is the base condition, ideal condition. Having good weather is the base or ideal condition. No adjustment factor required then for speed and capacity. Okay. If you don't have any incident or accident on the road, again, this is the base or ideal condition. No adjustment factor required for speed and capacity for this condition. Okay. If you don't have any work zone, this is a base or ideal condition. In that case, no adjustment factor required for speed and capacity in that condition. Okay. If all the drivers, motorists are commuters, if all the drivers and motorists are commuters, regular users, again, no adjustment factor required for speed and capacity. So whichever base, so these 4 points are basically 4 base or ideal conditions, right? These are 4 base or ideal conditions. Whenever you meet any of that condition, the adjustment factor for that condition will be taken out. It will not be required. Okay. So if you meet 3 of them, then you need the remaining factor. So if you meet, for example, weather condition and no incidents on the road, but there is work zone and all motorists are regular familiar users. So you only need the adjustment factor of work zone. The other 3 are not required for speed and capacity. Okay. So base conditions are written. You meet the base conditions, adjustment factor will go out. Okay. Now, so for each condition, you will calculate the adjustment factor separately for speed and capacity. So we have adjustment factor for weather, for speed, adjustment factor for weather, for capacity, adjustment factor for traffic accidents for speed, and traffic accidents for capacity, and so on. Okay. Sorry, adjustment factor for speed is not there for incidents, but for work zone, we have adjustment factor for speed, adjustment factor for capacity, and so on. So for capacity, you can calculate 4 adjustment factors if all 4 base conditions are not met, and you can calculate 3 adjustment factor for speeds if all 3 base conditions are not met. Okay. If any of the base condition meets, that adjustment factor will not be required. Then you will combine the adjustment factors for capacity and the adjustment factors for speed, because we need to use the combined adjustment factors. We will not use individual adjustment factors. The combined adjustment factor is calculated like this. So the first one is combined adjustment factor for capacity, and this one is combined adjustment factor for speed. And simply whatever adjustment factors you have calculated, you multiply them. To get the combined factor, individual factors must be multiplied. So combined factor of capacity, multiply all the individual adjustment factors of capacity. So if you have calculated 2 adjustment factors for capacity, multiply 2 of them, like I said. Okay. If you are meeting, for example, you have good weather conditions, so adjustment factor for weather will not be required, right? So this will be cancelled. Then you require the other 3. So then you will only multiply the other 3. Okay. Same thing for the speed as well. For example, you don't need the adjustment factor for work zone. So this adjustment factor will be cancelled from here and also from here as well. And you will multiply the remaining. Okay. You will multiply the remaining. Okay. So I will talk more about the adjustment factors, individual values in the class tomorrow. Okay. Inshallah. So I'll stop here. If you have any questions, you can ask me.